Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Zoe's Treasures. My name's Tracy, and as always, here with my husband, Noel. He's running those cameras and doing those graphics. Hello, Southern Charm. Hello, Misty and Cottage Curious. Welcome to Monday morning. Did you guys have a good morning, Daisy Lane? Did you guys have a good weekend? I had a busy weekend, a really busy weekend. I felt like I did a lot of shows and a lot of packing, which I'm not complaining about. Packing's a good thing. Hello, Lori. But I am ready for this week. So for the past couple of months, I've been doing the Ledger to Leadership every Monday night. We had the CEO Challenge, and then I was doing my normal morning shows. It went, yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. It went by too fast. I had a list of like 80 things, and I think I got like 10 of them done. But I felt like I've been super busy the last few months. So this month, for the month of June, can you believe we're in June already? For the month of June, I will not be doing Monday night shows, just taking a month off. So I kind of, when I looked at my schedule for the rest of the year, I'm like, every couple of months, I need a month where it's a little bit lighter of a month just to kind of recoup and do some other focus on other areas of the business. So I'm not doing Monday night shows this month, which is going to feel a little bit different to me, but I'm kind of looking forward to having a little bit of a break. But let's talk about what's coming up, what's going on. We have stuff in the bin, as we usually do. Shipping is $4.50. There's all new items in the auction tab today. Of course, everything starts at $1. And this week, it's a pretty light week. So we have our Wednesday show, and then we have our Friday chat show. I think this week we're talking about how to keep going when it's like a slow show or a slow week. I need to go back. I haven't started my notes for Friday yet, so we'll get there soon. Good morning, Trish. What I wanted to talk about today, of course, we will talk about anything on your mind. So if there's anything happening in the whatnot world, any questions, thoughts, concerns, any of that stuff, throw it in the chat. Let's discuss it today because this is kind of an open forum. But aside from that, I was going to kind of talk about what we talked about last night, but maybe in a different way, or bring up some other thoughts that we didn't get to touch on in our Reselling Roundtable. If you don't know, if you're not following, Reselling Roundtable is our podcast we do with Green 13 and I Love Discounts. And it is on YouTube at 6:30 every Sunday night. And it is a live podcast where we get to talk amongst ourselves, but also answer questions from the audience that is there. So last night we talked about the psychology of customer loyalty, or the psychology of buyer loyalty. So I was going to expand on that a little bit today, kind of talk some other stuff. But good morning, T-Bubble. I wanted to ask you the big question to get us kind of going here is, hold on, let me get a giveaway going. CEO Affirmation Packs is our giveaway as usual. When you guys think about whatever category you're in, so think about like the category you normally either shop in or sell in, and you look around you, what are the characteristics? What do you say makes the people successful in that category? Because there's always a few, bigger or standout sellers in a category. So what is it that you see when you're looking around that you would consider the characteristics that are making these people successful? That's my question for you. I have some thoughts on it, but I'll get there after I see what you have to say. Interactions, big personalities. So we have the interaction, the engagement, how they're coming across, community, trustworthiness. Trust is a big one. We talked about trust last night. Engaging, the interaction, yeah, involving them. Good morning, the Vintage Gypsy Brie. Calm, I'm confident, not always experts, but they're confident in what they're selling. Positive. Networking. All right, so what is the one thing that nobody mentioned? The one thing that nobody mentioned that when we first come to selling we think is so important, but really is absolutely the least important thing of what this whole thing about. Consistency is not what I'm thinking of, but consistency is important. Yes, consistency is absolutely important. The one thing I'm thinking of that nobody mentioned that really is almost irrelevant is your product. Not one, but the Southern Charm got it. Not one person said, oh, they have great stuff, good inventory, good product. Nobody said that. So it's like when we start looking around and we think about what's happening and we look at these sellers that we say, hey, they seem to be kind of on top of their game in our category. We're not, one of us is like, oh, and they have good product. Now, after the fact, after we've identified all these characteristics that you guys identified, we may be like, oh, and they bring some really cool stuff. But it's way down on the list. I don't know about you guys, but that speaks a whole lot to me. Because take vintage decor, for example. You can get primitive decor from a handful of sellers. You can get MCM from a handful of sellers. It's like we all, even though it's not like we're going to a distributor and buying the same products, we all kind of sell the same things in general, right? So the product is almost, I don't want to say meaningless. You can't just sell junk, right? But it's not what keeps people. It's proof on how social, exactly. So it's not really what draws the people in. So when we're talking about what's going to bring people to your room, what's going to keep them there, and what's going to keep them coming back, you've got to be diversified. Yes, I agree with that. So what's going to keep people coming back is everything you guys just noticed. So a lot of times, and I wanted to take this different approach to this conversation, is because we hear the biggest questions we hear on this app. How do I get people in my room? How do I get them to stay in my room? How do I get them to buy from me? All of those can be answered. All of those are tied to buyer loyalty, customer loyalty. I would agree with that if the products sold are equal, meaning I'm going to wait for the rest of it. I think there's more coming to that sentence. So when you're looking at those things, it's all about the loyalty. Good morning, Swamp Chick Boutique. Not staying if they don't have their things I'm interested in. Correct. You might not be staying if the things aren't interested, but it's not. People will go. How many people here will go to a show where they buy nothing? I'm going to give you a perfect example. The Aaron Sphere. I haven't seen him pop up. I don't know if he's here this morning or not. I'll go into the Aaron Sphere show. No, am I there every single time he's on? No. But if I'm scrolling and I see him on, do I pop in for 10, 15 minutes? Absolutely. He sells sewing notions, patterns, caftans. I don't buy any of that. But I go because of who he is. I go for the entertainment. I go because of a loyalty I have to him. I know every single one of you in here, there is some sense, there is somebody you would go to, even if you were like, look, I'm on a spending freeze for a year, there's still somebody show you would be in. Can I tag him? Absolutely. He's awesome. Let's see. Let me see if I can give me a second here. And who's going to get that first giveaway? Digger994F, you got that giveaway. Let's see if I can figure out how to spell his name. A-O-N. Oh, there. Thank you, Swamp Chick. I'm having a hard time over here. Probably because I'm not spelling his name right. Swamp Chick Boutique tagged him. Thank you so much. I appreciate the help. So let me we'll get another giveaway going. When we start thinking about these people that we consider successful or doing good, I don't want to like put them on a pedestal. They're just doing good in their business from our eyes, right? A few characteristics stand out, like what we talked about. The engagement, so how they're running their show, the experience you have in their show, the show format, that flow of the show. These people, let me ask you, whoever you came in your head, whoever you were thinking about when I asked that question, do these people pretty much have the same style show every single time? Or is it a crapshoot? So let's do this. Is it pretty much the same style of show? Either it's a random poll show pretty much is their main routine, or you kind of know like it's a show like I do, pre-listed. So for the people you feel are successful or are doing great on the app, do they mainly have the same style of show? Yep. Over and over and over and over again, right? Doesn't mean they don't mix it up here and there, but for the main thing, this is what I want to get at. The questions that we ask as sellers, how do I get, that's your Lucy's Vintage? Yeah, the same, exactly. And they're great. Lucy's Vintage is awesome. I actually got to meet them in person at the summit. That was pretty cool. Back to consistency being key. There it is. So How do I get people in my room? How do I get them to stay? How do I get them to buy? How do I get them to come back? All those questions that we ask as sellers, those are like the key things, come back to this whole psychology of buyer loyalty, of the consistency. I know we throw that word out there and you hear it from everybody, but it's proof. If you look at these big sellers, or not big, the people you deem successful, get past, oh, they got 300 people in the room. Get past that, dig deeper. What are those characteristics? The same show format for the most part, over and over and over and over again. Their pricing, is their pricing consistent? Good morning, Forgotten Memories. Do they all either start at $1 or start at 10, or you know their pricing structure? You already, before you go to the show, because you've been there a couple of times, are familiar with their pricing structure, right? You know their language. They probably have a catchphrase. They probably something that they say. I know all of us have sellers, and we can repeat some of their catchphrases that we've come to like learn and love about them. Their policies, how they run their show, like their rules, either promoting, no promoting, request, no request, all that stuff in there, right? And then what's the other, we said consistency, but what's the other thing about consistency? That, think about these sellers. How often do they reschedule shows? How often have you gone to see them on their anchor show, the day and time you know they're on, and they're not there? Wheels and More says never, for whoever they have in their head about their big seller or successful person. What about the rest of you? Whoever it is in your head that you're like, yeah, this person is doing pretty good, darn good for themselves. Never, rarely, never. It's not rocket science. We come on this app and we think it's so difficult. Now, am I saying, oh, you're going to come on and just be consistent and everything's going to be roses? No, I'm not saying that. But we ask these questions that are answered by almost every single chat show that I've ever been in says the word consistency. And good morning, Be More Thrifty. So I don't want this whole day to be like just hammering in the word consistency, but I want to draw those comparisons to the people that we say are really popular. Like, I'm just going to say in vintage, I'm going to name a few that most people will think of in vintage. So maybe in vintage, you're thinking of Upcycled by Bree, House of Coop, Hodgepodge may be storage or estates. So you're thinking some people along those lines, probably. Same show format, same pricing structure. Don't rarely cancel or reschedule shows. Also being able to pivot according to what your room is there to buy, and being receptive to the room. Exactly. It seems always to come back to consistency. Can't help it. Does. It is consistency. And it's not just showing up. And here's where I think, and I said this last night, where I think most people miss the boat on this. When they hear consistency, all they think about is showing up, which I feel there's such a contradiction on this app, because there are so many people, and I know we all could probably throw an emoji in the chat. Throw something in the chat if you have heard this statement. Just have 10 shows. As long as you have 10 shows, you're okay, and you can reschedule them all you want. You can reschedule, it's okay. Swamp Chick Boutique, you got that giveaway. So if you've ever heard somebody say that, throw an emoji in the chat. And the same breath that they say that, they're going to say, but be consistent. Consistency is key. Well, rescheduling your shows anytime you want is not consistency. So, and it's more than, that's like this is where we're going to start with, is about the shows and about your schedule. So there's such this contradiction on this app of, you can do it when your voice, what if you, it may be Kathy's. If anybody else is having, if I'm cutting in and out, let me know. I know Noelle's up there trying to fix our internet. I unplugged our internet 5 minutes before the show this morning, so it was a little hectic of a morning right before we hit go live. Okay, good. Thank you, guys. What if you consistently reschedule your shows? Does that count? I think you're shooting yourself in the foot, Southern Charm, but to each his own. I'm going to go back to the tried and true methods. You can hear clearly. Thank you. Okay, good. Then he must have it working up there. I saw him go up there to try to fix it. So You can't have it both ways. We can't be on this app and have it both ways. If you're the type of seller who's like, you know what, I can't commit to a schedule. I'm gonna just do pop-ups. I'm gonna do it when it's convenient for me. Then fine, that's okay. But don't expect to have the same outcome as someone who's gonna put in the time and the effort and show up the same day, the same time, week after week after week after week. We can't have. There's just you can't have your cake and eat it too. And that's what I hear on this app so much. And it's really, I don't want to say bothering me, but it's really becoming evident as I spend a ton of time in talk shows in order to keep myself from spending a lot of money. I spend a lot of time in talk shows, and I hear that same thing over and over again. And you just cannot have your cake and eat it too. This is a business. Can you have fun? Can you be silly, goofy, and do all that stuff and have a good time and create friendships? Absolutely 100%. But if you're not willing to show up on time in a consistent manner, don't complain you're not making any money. And then when we talk about showing up, we all want to know, how do you be successful on this app? Because we look at these sellers. Well, we've just identified everything you need to be successful, right? And then comes the product, because we talked at the very beginning, the product's at the back end, right? So all of those things, and we'll go through them. We'll talk a little bit about each one in a little more detail here. Okay. So, show format. I am not, Wheels and More, I am not going to the New York meetup. So, I Love Discounts, they're heading, hopefully they should be on the road pretty soon. I think Lysandra had to work this morning, and then they're coming on the road. They're going to come stay with us for a few days, and they are going to New York. So, they're swinging by us on their way to New York, but I will not be there. I have to work, and I've got too much stuff, and I've got my shows. I am also leaving out of town. Next week, I will be in Dallas, so I'm leaving Monday morning. I will not have a show next Monday morning as I talk about consistency, because I will be on a plane. But in its place, I have a raid train on Tuesday, and I'll be doing from Dallas. So I'll be doing all my shows next week from Dallas. You're going to be there, Janice Fines. You're going to be in New York. I'm sure it's going to be fun. It is a hodgepodge. The hodgepodge place is the person, Christine, who's doing the meetup, but it's sponsored. Go live on the plane. I wish. It's sponsored by Whatnot, so I'm sure it's going to be a great one. Go live on the plane, y'all. I have my 9-to-5 job, and that's what I travel for every single month. They're great about hotels. I get gorgeous suites. We get great food. We get spoiled rotten when we're traveling, but we have to fly coach. So I am going to be on a Southwest flight, like probably crunched in the middle of the seat in the back of the plane next to the toilets. Probably not the place people want to see me going live from. The people next to me will be like, what the hell is this lady doing? The polish picker, good morning. Good morning, the bird theory. So, how many here, if you had the chance to go live from a plane, would do it? I'm not sure I have enough confidence yet to do that. I've gone live from a coffee store, a bookstore. I've gone live in public. I'm not sure about a plane yet. That's still a little too close in my bubble for me to be live, I think. I don't know if I have enough in me yet to do that. Yeah, what Liz likes says, yeah, exactly. The person next to me may be trying to sleep. It's going to be like a 6:30 in the morning flight. Oh yeah, a Monster Mama. I am right with you. I am the person who gets on the plane. I put my earbuds in because I'm like, don't talk to me. First of all, I'm like, I don't know you. I don't want to talk to you. I put my earbuds in and I pull my hoodie. I legit have a hoodie I wear when I travel because it has a really big hood, and I pull it over my eyes and I close my eyes. Because if I am not sitting there like taking my deep breaths and closing my eyes, I am going to be like getting sick all over the plane. So yeah, and I travel frequently, and I just know this about myself. I know that's how I have to handle it. You're already at 6:30 in the morning, Graham's house. You'd be 2 glasses of wine in on the plane. So go live next. Have somebody go live next to me. So yeah, it'll be good. It's next week is just a normal Dallas trip. I do this one, I don't know, 4 or 5 times a year, so I'm used to this trip. It's not bad. 2.5 hour flight there. What's bad about traveling, you guys? This is for the 9-to-5. Anybody out there 9-to-5ers that have to travel for work? What happens is you go and your whole schedule's thrown off because you have to be like down at breakfast by 6:37 in the morning, and then you're doing work, like you're like interacting all day long, and then you have dinners at night, and so you don't get back to your room till like 9:30, 10 at night. So anything you normally would have done, you can't get done. So while I enjoy it, I also like enjoy when the week comes to an end and I go home because I can get back on my normal routine. But that has nothing to do with whatnot. So let's get back to talking about the consistency side of it. So we talked about having your anchor show, scheduling your show, and showing up for your show. Don't keep rescheduling your shows. I used to, I love it, but it was like, it's like working double time, the Bread Theory, totally. It's difficult. I hate flying. Last time I flew, the lady I always seated kept kissing. Oh my gosh. Maybe, she was probably pretty darn scared. That sounds to me like she was super scared, but yeah, that would freak me out too. Thank you so much, T Bubble Fizz. We are, I've got some stuff to do today. I just threw this on for the show because I have a shirt, sleeveless shirt on, and I'm like, I'm not so sure that's appropriate, so I put this on just for the show this morning. Oh yeah, Forgotten Memories. That's the other thing. In Dallas, the World Cup is there. Well, we're going to be there. So, like, it's going to be a madhouse, an absolute madhouse in Dallas. But did you see the World Cup tickets are like $1,000 or something? They're like some crazy price, which I'm sure is comparable to some like the Super Bowl or something. I'm not a huge sports person, but I'm like $1,000. That's more than Taylor Swift tickets. Good morning, Lintro. Okay, so your shows, schedule them, show up for them. You don't need to be like me. You don't need to have shows scheduled out for a year. But like, if you don't know if you can make it, don't schedule it. Like, you should have some show schedules, but only schedule the ones that you know you're going to make it. And I firmly believe that all of us can do this. All of us can find a day and time. Doesn't mean maybe you have to get yourself out of bed earlier or stay up later or do something that's a little uncomfortable. Probably. But you're not going to grow. You're not going to, get to that point of success without a little bit of discomfort along the way. So the next part of it is show format and flow. So we all said when we thought about somebody that we think is successful or doing well on this app, that their shows are pretty much the same from show to show to show to show. Now, if you think about them a little bit more, think about whoever in your head, in your category is successful in your eyes. Have you just been to one show and saw it? Probably not. You've probably been to 5, 6, 7, if not, 100 shows that are, for the most part, the same show. They open it the same way. They have the same flow. They close it the same way for the most part, right? Am I way out here? Are you guys seeing this? When you think about your people, they're doing the same thing. That matters. Why does this matter? We are, as buyers or as just people in general, we as humans, we gravitate toward what is familiar to us. We want consistent, I want to use the word consistency. We want what feels comforting, what feels known, that familiar. When somebody is doing shows that are all over the board, without it being by design, and I'll talk about that. Yeah, try new things, but I'm going to talk about like how to incorporate different show styles and still be like one format. If you have somebody that on Monday they're doing a random poll show, and then Tuesday they do pre-listed, and then maybe they're doing an unboxing the next day, but you never know what you're going to get. It's always this crapshoot. It's always like, okay, if I click on them, what are they doing today? There's some people, there may be a little bit of excitement in that somewhere, but for the most part, we want to know what's going to happen. We want to know what we're going into. So if, like Forgotten Memory says, try new things. So if you want to do like, hey, I want to do some unboxing shows, but my format is pre-listing, but I want to do an unboxing. I'm using that because I just did this, so I'll talk about my experience with it. Build the unboxing into a regular thing. So don't just be like, oh, out of the blue, let's just do this, right? I tried it. I'm going to tell you the results of it. So it's not just out of the blue, let's just try it. It's more along the lines of, hey, everybody, we're going to start doing unboxing shows on Thursdays. and kind of build into it and then make that a consistent thing along with your other thing. So then people start to come to know you hey, on Tuesdays, Tracy does this, and on Thursdays, she does this. You liked my unboxing show, so let's talk about this. So I just did this. Part of it was on a whim. The other part was was a curiosity thing on my part. So Saturday, before we do Battle of the Best, we're required on the Raid Train to have a preview show. So my preview show was Saturday night, and I was sitting there Saturday thinking, I don't just want to go on for 10 minutes and talk about one item, not sell anything. If I'm going to take the time to come down to the studio, turn on all the lights, go live, I want to make it worth my while. I want to sell stuff, right? That's the beauty of being live. And I didn't want a talk show type thing. I didn't, because it was more focused on the product, I didn't want to do a talk show and talk about things. So I thought, I just had 2.5 boxes of stuff delivered from the auction. Let's do an unboxing. I've never done an unboxing show. While it was kind of cool, it was kind of exciting. At the same time, do you know what happened to my prices? I got about half of what I normally would have gotten for items. Some things went okay, but for the most part, when I purchased that lot of auction stuff, I had a certain kind of ballpark in my head. I'm like, okay, I'll pay this much because I think I can get around this much for it. Like we do as resellers, right? We do that math on the front end when we're purchasing things. I got nowhere near what I kind of thought in my head I was going to get. Now, does that mean I'm always right? My estimates are always right? No, they're not. But I've gotten to a point where I'm pretty good. I get to pretty close to estimating around what the final outcome should be. And it was about half of where I thought I should be for that show. Why? It wasn't my format. It wasn't my time. It wasn't a normal time that people are used to seeing me. The people who are regulars to me were surprised, like, what's she doing? It pulled the rug out from underneath people and directly influenced the number of people I had in my room. I had less people in my room than I normally would. So the number of people I had in my room, the total amount of the bids I was getting, which at the end of the day, we're here for bids and to make a profit, be a profitable business. I mean, as much as anybody wants to say, I love the social aspect, I love this. Yes, I agree with all of that. But at the end of the day, we're here for business purpose to make money. So I can totally see how not following the consistency of the show routine, the consistency of the day and time, and or prepping your audience for the change completely affected the outcome of that sale. What are you saying? Not accounting the noise. Oh yes, the noise of the paper wrap every time I was opening paper. If you're going to do that show again, would you need to talk about it a few times before it actually happens? Absolutely, Southern Charm. I would do it as an event. 100%. That's how I would have incorporated it. Had it not been on a whim Saturday thinking it and just been kind of like, yeah, I want to do this, that's exactly what I would have done. For maybe 2 weeks ahead of time, or even 3 weeks, I would have scheduled the show out and I would have been like, you guys, I've got this chance at the auction. I'm going to do a live unboxing. I've never done this. And I would have tried to build up some excitement. Good morning, Gabby. I would have tried to build up some excitement about it, tried to set the stage so when people bookmarked it and said, oh, I want to go see that, they already know what they're walking into. Do they know me? Do they already kind of know Tracy and how I do my shows? Yeah. Was I the same person? For the most part. But the flow of the show was completely different and it threw people off. If people are switching stuff up, they need to do a dedicated show for what they are doing. I would do a dedicated show and communicate that. Communication is key. The bigger the change, the longer the time you need to communicate it. If you're going to switch your anchor show to a different day, which there's nothing wrong with doing that. You can have an anchor show for a long time and decide you want it on a different day. Keep the one you have. Let it go for a few weeks. Do both of them at the same time for a couple of weeks. So at your normal show day and time, you're like, hey, I'm going to be switching this show over to, blah, blah day and time for a couple weeks to get people used to that before you just drop the show. Let people know, exactly, let people know about the show that's coming up. I've been talking about my Crazy Creamer show that's a week from Saturday, so just about 2 weeks away. I've been talking about that for 2 months now. One, I want people who like creamers to be like, I really want to bookmark this show and go. Two, I want people to see if they see somebody else buying creamers or know of somebody in their life that likes these crazy creamers, to let them know about it so they can come to the show. But also because it's completely different than my normal show formats. Totally different than what I'm used to doing. So think about that in your own shows, on how important that consistency is in your show formats. People get used to it. They get comfortable coming into it. When you go shopping, and we use this analogy all the time. I've said it. I've heard other people say it. When you go to your grocery store and they switch the aisles all around, it's anxiety driving to you. That's what it's like going into these shows where you have no idea what in the heck you're going to expect. Is the ketchup going to be on the left-hand side or the right-hand side this time? I have no idea, right? You don't like it in real life, like in brick and mortar. Nobody likes it on Whatnot either. Then let's see. Oh, we have some pre-bids. Let's do pre-bids before we kind of get into the next topic. Oh, I know, the grocery store thing. Me too. Even to the point. Think about this, you guys. How important this is. Any chain store. I shop at Sam's Club a lot. I do a lot of my grocery shopping at Sam's Club. But think about Sam's Clubs, Targets, Walmarts, any popular, chain store, that Dollar Generals. You can go in one in Alabama or go into one in California or go into one in Michigan. For the most part, they are laid out the same. For the most part. Now, are the size, wherever their location is, maybe the shape of the store might be a little bit different. But for the most part, they're laid out the same. Why? Because if you're going to Sam's Club in California and you move to Michigan, they know the importance of you coming in and feeling that comfort feeling. So this isn't like new stuff. Good morning, the Aaron Sphere. We tagged you earlier. What was I talking about? I used you as a good example. Oh, I used you as an example of somebody I don't buy from. I know that sounds bad, but it wasn't that. It was the who you are, the personality of your show, and the consistency of your show, and how we'll go into shows for that comfort feeling to connect with people, even if it's not a type of product that we would normally buy, such as I don't buy sewing, but I'll go into the Aaron Sphere show because of the atmosphere that he creates. Creatures of habits. Yes, thank you, honey, for putting that in there. Yeah, when the floor plans are reversed. So this concept of having that familiarity in your show comes straight from the brick and mortar stores, and it's proven. And we probably a lot of times don't notice that. It's not something that we're like, oh, well, Sam's does it this way, I should do it this way too. But it's human behavior. This has been studied. We come to Whatnot and we try to reinvent the wheel. We're like, oh, well, this is live selling. This is totally different. And then, are there some components of live selling that are unique and different? 100%. But it's still sales. It's still selling something. It is a profession or an industry that has been studied and analyzed, and the psychology behind it already laid out as a roadmap for us, that all we have to do is take all that information and tweak it a bit for the delivery method that we're using. Humans, I can't read today, need predictability. It makes our nervous, exactly, calm and safe. That's what we want to feel, calm and safe. Thank you, Aaron Sphere. I like hanging out with you. All right, let's run over to these pre-bids, and then we'll talk about the next item that adds to this buyer loyalty. All right, what do we have going on today? We're going to run through all the pre-bids that are there. We have this gorgeous Nippon vase. Now, I wrote Nippon. Hope I got this right, because y'all, I took pictures really quick last night at like 10 o'clock, and then I went in the other room to write descriptions. That's why the descriptions suck today. I'm not doing good on my consistency for my descriptions today. Oh, it is Nippon. Good. Didn't get that wrong. All right, let's look at this one. This one's really cool. So Nippon, got to give you my Nippon speech. Nippon's over 100 years old. If it's marked Nippon, you can be guaranteed it's pre-1924. So this one is definitely a true antique, 100 years old. And look at the shape of this. Southern Charm, isn't that true? Look at how it has like these indents. That's on purpose. It's made like that. I think it gives such a neat flair to the way that this vase looks. Good morning, Bummin' with Nana. And there's your hand-painted Nippon stamp on the bottom. We're going to go ahead and run that. I'll tell you how tall it is really quick here. Yeah, isn't that a cool shape? It's about 6¼ inches. It's starting at $1. We're going to do 10 seconds. 5-second reset. Running right now. Absolutely beautiful antique. And a lot of these have paint wear along the top. This has very, very minor, like barely no paint wear. It is in great shape for at least 100-year-old item. Thank you for your bids. Southern Charm, thank you so much. That is heading to you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we got a cute, kitschy pig here. So we got this little piggy planter. Look at, now, this is a pig with the duck face. Is that not the most, like, selfie duck face you have seen on a pig? And I love the little paint on there. It is a planter. It's still pretty clean. I don't know if anybody's actually used it as a planter before. I'm not seeing dirt down there. No maker's mark on the bottom. Those are like little toenail indentations. Those aren't chips. Those are supposed to be there. We'll turn them this way so you can see both sides are her. That's what Swamp Chick, I actually thought it was a creamer when I picked it up. And I picked it up and put it in my basket at the antique store. And I got it home and realized it wasn't. And I'm like, okay, well, that's still cool. Planters are just as cool. There you go. It's like putting lipstick on a pig. Thank you for your bids. It is still cute. But I exactly thought it was a creamer too. Southern Charm, thank you so much.
Thank you.
This one's neat. Now, I have never seen an item like, I've seen items like this, but never this exact. And this bunny, okay, y'all like creepy? Southern Charm, I know you like the Halloween creepy doll things. This bunny looks possessed. If you like possessed bunnies, I know that is a terrible way to try to sell something. But tell me if this bunny does not look possessed. Look at those eyes. It looks like it is like staring you down. The flower is really sweet and cute. It is a toothpick holder. It is brass. He's kind of scary. Yeah. Is it a donkey? You think it's a donkey, not a bunny? I don't know. It has big ears like a bunny. Let's see. No markings on the bottom of it. But it is solid brass. It's a toothpick holder. I'm thinking a pretty creepy bunny running right now. Millicent's is going with donkey. Okay, we got some donkeys going on. Maybe it's a mix. Maybe that's why it looks creepy. Maybe it's like half donkey, half bunny. That would be a weird combination. On the bottom, oh wait, you're right. There is a tiny marking. Hold on, let's see if I can see what it says. Let's see, can we zoom in? China? Possibly? China, so probably China. It is solid brass though. Okay, I can vouch for that. I'll give you my solid vouching of that it's brass.
Thank you.
All right. This is the second time I've had this. I know everybody has seen these before. They're super adorable. I probably should have kept it for my creamer show, but I've got a lot of creamers coming up for that crazy creamer show. This is the Scotty Dog creamer. Have you guys seen these before? You have to. If you go to antique stores, you have to have seen these. They're not like super popular, but probably about once every, I don't know, 6 or so months I see one of these guys. It is a creamer, totally open at the top. But if you're a Scotty Dog person, this is the thing. That is not a crack. That is how it was made. It is like part of the mold that goes all the way around. So it is made like that. Southern Charm, I can't believe. I don't know, Swamp Chick. I've never seen a sugar for this. So I have no idea. That's a good question. Bumming with Nana, you got that giveaway. Congratulations. All right, this one's up and running. Southern Charm, I am absolutely surprised with the amount of times that you go to an antique store, like all the sourcing you do for all of your booths. I'm so surprised you've never seen one. Maybe they're like a Pennsylvania thing. Ranchan Finds, that's going to you. Congratulations. Maybe it's a Pennsylvania thing. I don't know.
Thank you.
A spoon rest. I mean, you could. It has like a dip here, so it'd be like more like to pour, but it would work as a spoon rest. What do we have left? The piggy bank. This is another one. I found maybe it's just, you know, that effect when, you know what happens when you buy a new car? A candy container, Daisy Lane. Now, y'all, I believe Daisy Lane. Daisy Lane is super knowledgeable about the history of things. So if Daisy Lane says is originally a candy container, I'd 100% believe that that's the truth. Jello mold. I don't think that's a small serving of Jello. Yeah, use it as you like. So you know that theory, like when you buy a new car or you get a new style like of a shirt, and then all of a sudden you see that same car like all over the road, and you're like, I swore I was getting something unique. That's what this is to me. I saw this cute little piggy bank. Now, once you put your money in, you're going to be hard pressed to get it out. You're going to have to smash it to get it out or shake it just the right way. I saw it and thought it was adorable. And then after I saw this, like on the auction, when I bought it at auction, I went to a antique store and I saw like 4 of them. But I had never seen them before. Anyways, it is a cute, adorable piggy bank. It is all glass. So if you put your money in, it's going to stay there. Maybe a good way to teach a little kid to save their pennies. We're going to go ahead and run it. Would you switch our camera for us, please? There you go. And that's going right now. So you put your money in at the top, but there's no stopper. It's going to stay in there. Those pennies are going to collect in there. And Jessica with the first purchase. Congratulations.
Thank you for your first purchase.
Thank you, Southern Charm. Ducks in the chat, you guys, if you can remember, like I can't remember. So Southern Charm reminds me. First purchase, ducks in the chat. Thank you, thank you. This is from my personal collection. Anybody have adult kids? Or have you seen that whole thing that's going around about the adult children now when their parents pass on and they're like, guess what I got? I got 500 precious moments. Or, you know, they're making fun of their parents' collection. That's what happened with this. So I bought this cute duck because I love ducks. You see our duck thing, right? So I bought it, thought it was cute, didn't really have a place in my house. So I gave it to my daughter because she came by, my adult daughter. I'm like, she says, oh, that's so cute. I'm like, oh, good, you can have it. Take it. Put it in your house. So then she brings it back to me. So I think what she's slowly doing is like anything I'm trying to like push off on her, she's slowly just putting back in my house. There's something happening. So this was from our personal collection. It is a trinket jar. It's ceramic, but it is backwards glaze. I got to wash that little smudge. The glaze is only on the inside, and the outside is unglazed, which gives it a really cool look, except its little beak is glazed. So it gives it kind of like a backwards look. It's pretty neat. And where did it go? Hold on, it just disappeared off my list. There it is. All right, we're going to run it. It's going right now. It has an adorable little face, doesn't it? I have a glass one on my guest bathroom. In my guest bathroom, I have a glass duck like that. And Jessica, that's going to you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Did I change a time? The time seems to be going like that. I got to check our times. All right. Thunky alert. We have a Thunky blue pitcher that I can't reach. Not pitcher, creamer. Thunky. So if you're not familiar with the word thunky, it means thick and chunky in all the good ways. Thick and chunky in all the best ways. That's what this guy is. It is ceramic. USA on the bottom. And of course you have your blue and white flowers on there. Show you the inside nice and clean. You see that inside. Let me see what's going on with my timing because I don't know. I feel like the auctions are going like super fast. Maybe not. Okay, there it says 10 seconds. We're running it right now. Maybe I'm just talking too much. That's why things seem to be going. The time goes fast. Bumping with Nana. Congratulations. Thank you. And a butter pat. What is up with butter pats lately? So I was able to collect a bunch for my last show on Saturday. But then I went shopping yesterday and I found a whole nother huge stack of butter pats. So I have more coming up in shows. But it went there was a point in time I couldn't find a butter pat to save my life. And now I feel every time I go to the antique store, I'm finding butter pats. First buy, well, congratulations, Bumming with Nana. All right, so we have this butter pat. This is a beautiful one. It is a porcelain one. It's a little washed out. There you go. Has some blue flowers. Really pretty around the edges. No maker's mark. No chips. There seems to be like a little, nope, that's normal. That's in there. That's under, the glaze is on top of that. So nothing wrong with it. Normal butter pat size. So it is definitely a butter pat, not a little kid saucer. And that's running right now. Are they expensive? The polished picker. I saw a railroad one at the antique store the other day that they wanted like $35 for one butter pat. And I'm like, that's a little crazy. It's definitely not reseller price right there. Bumming with Nana, congratulations. Can't find butter pats in your area or Hens on Nest. Isn't that so so weird how in different parts of this country they're like different things? Hens on a Nest or something I'm finding lately. But you know what I can't find? Bee boxes. To save my life, I look high and low. Cannot find a bee box. I have a bottom. I found the bottom only. I'm still searching for the top of it. Can't find one for nothing. Hens on the Nest, though, I've been getting those pretty regular. And butter pats I've been getting pretty regular. But it's not all the time. Where, y'all, let me in on the secret. Where do people find these bee boxes? Because when I look like on typical sites, eBay, stuff like that, they're not reseller prices. It's not like I'm going to make money, so I'm not even going to try at that point. You've been on a manhunt for vintage stand ashtrays. Oh, there's one in Hanover, Pennsylvania. There's one I look at all the time. It's actually a uranium one. Gorgeous. Way out of my price range, though. Fairy lamps. Fairy lamps are hard to find, too, even though I'm bidding on 2 currently. The auction ends on Tuesday. Hopefully I'll get 2 fairy lamps soon. Oh, you found 2, but yeah. I'm willing to pay up a certain amount. I know a bee box isn't going to be a $5 purchase. I'm willing to pay a good fair amount, but the prices I'm seeing are like $200 or $300. I'm like, I would be lucky to sell it for about that. So I keep hoping I'm going to like stumble onto somebody's booth that has like a bunch of bee boxes that just hasn't caught on to the trend yet and has no idea. This is like my grand hope. Like I talk to myself when I pull up into the antique store parking lot. I'm like, today's going to be a good shopping day. I'm going to find something amazing like a bee box today. Has not happened yet, but I'm really good trying to talk this into existence. So Millicents, the bee box, it looks like a square candy dish. It usually has a little pedestal base, and there's actually the true bee boxes have bees on them, and they're square because they would hold a piece of honeycomb. So you take the lid off, put the honeycomb in as part of your serving place at your table, or like your coffee or tea station, whatever. But there are some honeycomb boxes. Maybe they're not bee boxes that don't have bees on them too. I got one of those. They're not as popular. Big sellers are getting, you can, I got to keep watching. All right, you guys, this is a huge, huge item. I say huge. It's bigger than my normal Monday, Wednesday, but it's super unique. Look at this guy. Is this not cool? It's like an egg. It's a flower egg. So it is a vase, and it's made of all these flowers, but it looks like an egg. There's the opening on the top. There's BEV, Bev. Bev created this. And I just love the colors. I think it's beautiful. Let me give you a quick measurement because this is tall. 8.5 inches. And it's running right now. I think it's purty. Thanks for your bids. The polished picker. Thank you so much. All right, let's do this last one and we'll get back to talking. I just got this yesterday, you guys. I couldn't wait. I couldn't wait to put it in because is this not, it's a little price tag thing. Is this not the most adorable little kitty cat thing you've ever seen in your life. If you like cats, let's get an up close view of this. You have 3 porcelain little kittens in there. Look at all this fur. Now, I don't know if somebody made this, if they bought it like this. I have absolutely no idea. I'll show you the top. I'll turn it all the way around, but it is such soft fur. You've got a porcelain bottom, and it says, it's all peeled off. This is old. Japan. I can't read that what the yellow one says. I don't know. Whatever store. J.M. Fields. Cats in a nest. On like a little fur blanket. It is so cute. The cats look like they're in great shape. There's a tiny little nick, very tiny flea bite on the tip of this guy's ear. A little bit of paint wear. But this is so cute. And it's running right now. Absolutely adorable. Porcelain basket at the bottom, porcelain little kitty cats, and then of course all your little fur going around there. I was super excited when I found this. I'm like, oh, this is so kitschy and cute. Done, Terry. Congratulations.
Thank
All right,
you.
let's get back to talking a bit. If I see pre-bids again, we'll go back and do more, but let's start talking. J.M. Fields, where was that? Did anybody ever shop at? I don't know J.M. Fields. I don't. That doesn't ring a bell to me. So, where is it? Have anybody know where that department store was? Jacksonville. Headhunter Junkie, are you from Jacksonville, Florida? Did I just meet another Jacksonville person? You are. I lived in Jacksonville for 23 years. So then we moved, and then I moved to Georgia and then Pennsylvania. But I lived in Jacksonville, Florida for a good part of my adult life. Okay. Born and raised. Well, cool. Welcome to Zoe's Treasures. Okay. Next thing, we're talking about consistency. We're talking about, for if you're just joining us, our conversation before we went to our selling a little bit was when you think, in Georgia, Ashton Guild, we are all like on the same path here. Whereabouts in Georgia and whereabouts in Maryland? When you think, so we're talking about when you think of somebody in your category that's successful or doing well for themselves or kind of got their ish together, right? They're doing pretty good. What are those characteristics? Macon, where's Macon, Georgia?
It's south of Atlanta.
South of Atlanta? Okay, southwest?
Southeast.
Southeast of Atlanta. We were in St. Simon's Island, Georgia, and we are just north of Baltimore. So we're about an hour north of Baltimore. So very, very similar path there. So we're thinking when you start thinking about these sellers, what is it, their characteristics that make you, what are the characteristics that they exhibit that are common among these successful, popular, people who got it together sellers, right? So we talked about their show format. We talked about they don't really cancel and reschedule their shows. They show up when they say they're going to show up. And pricing. So when you think about your seller that you have in your mind that's like, hey, they're pretty successful, is their pricing consistent? Do they pretty much have like a one starting price point? Whether that's $1, $10, do they have like one price that they use for the most part across the board? Yes or no when you're thinking about your seller? So we have half and half so far. We have a couple of yeses. This is a huge point here in the consistency. So we have some no's. Interesting. So we're about half and half. I expected more yeses. You don't compare. Okay, so what I'm going with here is a consistency in your pricing structure. Is just as important as showing up as having a consistency in your show flow for success on the app. It's hard. It's so hard though. Big sellers have a room full of folks and can start at $1, but when you only have 2, and it's not just starting at $1 bumming with Nana. So I'm not big. I'm talking anybody that you feel is successful or got their stuff together is doing good on the app. Do they have a consistent pricing schedule or system where it's like they start everything at $5 or $1 or $10 $10. That, like, you know what to expect. You know before you even go in there what to expect in their pricing. That's the key, is that the people, to create that buyer loyalty, they know what to expect when they go in your room. So if I'm going to point out the three that I said Hodge. I think she's a state, but we're going to just kind of stay, let's say, vintagey. House of Coop, Upcycled by Brie, and Hodge. Those three are three people I would look at, and I did for the longest time when I first started, to be like, okay, what are they doing? What are they doing what are the characteristics? What's similar among the three? Why do they seem to be standing out where others aren't, right? And it wasn't comparing myself to them. It was, I want to study them. They're doing something right. What is it that they're doing right? What can I learn from these people that I'm observing doing things right? Curated and caffeinated, yeah, that's another good one. So what's consistent among those? I think they're all dollar start people, but even if they weren't, just the fact that they all start at a consistent price across the board. Occasionally there may be a special item or something that's a little bit different, but 99% of the time they start at one price. Okay? I have preached this over and over. While I'm a firm believer in dollar starts, you don't have to do dollars, but having a consistent pricing method puts people at ease. I feel small sellers can't compare because we don't know how they started. We can't compare, but we can learn. We shouldn't compare ourselves. What we do is we look at other people as market research. Okay, it sounds a little like distancy, but that's what it is. I frequently will look at shows and pop from show to show. I'll look at shows that have 300 people because I want to know, what are they doing? What are they doing that's good? What are they doing that I don't agree with? But more often than not, I will watch and see, you know what, in this category, these 3 or 4 people really seem to be dominating the category, but in a good way, or seem to be very popular in this category, or doing very well in this category. Why is it that they're doing very well, but then you have 200 others that are kind of just hanging out, right? 200 other sellers that are there, they're doing their thing. Maybe they're not doing bad, but there's always ones that are rising to the top, right? So those ones that are rising to the top, what are the commonalities that I can learn from as a seller to improve my business? So it's not necessarily comparison. I start at 9, which is consistent with other small sellers on this app who sell the same. There, perfect. And it doesn't have to be, while I like dollar starts, it doesn't have to be dollars. I'm a really, really big believer in one price schedule. Pick a number and stick with it. But some get their inventory cheaper from their supplier. Me, I don't get the big discount from my supplier. So, and that's fine, because your money is made in the sourcing. It's all about where you get the sourcing. And just because they start at $1, I'm not saying that you have to start at $1. Let's get off the dollar and think more about what is it, though, that's consistent among them. If it's not the dollar, it's the fact that they all start at a set price, whether it be 1, 5, 10, whatever it is. Think about those people that you're thinking are rising to the top in the categories. The majority of them have a set price that they start with. It's important. I started at 5 or less starts, and going in order has been great the last few shows. There you go. Southern Charms, like, look, I'm kind of changing my ways to do, 5 or less. And if you're not, if you're like, look, I don't want to start at one price. Like, first of all, here's what happens. I'm going to give you this advice. You could take it or not, and that's totally okay. We all design our businesses in the best way that we feel works for us. But here's why starting at one price works. Let's pretend that I'm not starting at one price. Let's just, the average person that comes to Whatnot, they're thinking normally like a static lister. They're thinking that I have to get margin out of any, I do not spark Volutions, but thank you for asking. I know personally like going into shows with set prices because I hate asking for starting bids. If it's a significant price in bin, correct, in the bin. And I'm going to explain why this works. So let's just say I'm a random seller. I'm going to pick this up. I'm saying, hey, you guys, okay, let's start this. We're going to go for $5, and we're going to run the mug for $5. And then I'm going to go to the next thing, and I'm going to run it for $5. Then I'm going to run this for $5. And then I pick up the next item, and I'm like, all right, $30. Or even if I double it, $10. What happens to your buyers, particularly if you're doing random type polls, is that they come in, they see a couple of prices, and even if you're like 3, 5, 3, 5, 7, in their heads, you have already anchored them thinking, okay, most things are in the $3 to $7 range. So then you pick something up, and I'm like, oh, I like that. And in my head, I'm like already anchored in the $3 to $7 range because that's what you've been showing. And then you say $30. Instant defeated, bad feeling, like, wait a minute, what happened to the 3 to 7? It's not comforting. It's not safe. It's not familiar. It's not easy to get over that shock as a buyer. Our goal as a seller is to make it as simple and easy for our buyers to understand what we're doing, to be comfortable with our pricing. I don't want somebody thinking about the price. I want them to be like, I want the product. Then I'll concern about the price. Good morning, Dragonfly. This is why part of the reason I do dollar starts is the price is going to be the price. You guys are going to tell me how much it's going to go for. If you guys feel it's worth $1, then it's going to sell for $1. If you feel it's worth 50, it's going to sell for 50. But regardless, when you come into my room, you know that everybody has a chance of getting that dollar. That's where it's going to start. Southern Charm, or look at that, trying to get down to dollar starts. There is a true psychological impact on your buyer for having a set price, whether it's 1, 3, 5, whatever it is. Now, let me take a step back. When we do that, we can't be so caught up in the profitability of one coffee cup. I can't be like, oh, I paid 5, so I got to sell it for 10. So what? I may have paid 5 for this, but I may have paid 2 cents for this or 50 cents for this. So if I start everything at 5, it's going to even out. We've got to get away from our individual item profitability mindset. It's not about each individual item, even if you're not doing volume. Because I know there's some of you sitting there right now going, yeah, that's fine if you do volume. Even if you're not doing volume. I don't do volume. I sell 50 to 60. I'm not going to sell your mouse for 2 cents. I sell 50 to 60 items in a show. Quality over quantity will still work with this model. You don't have to be an 8-hour show with 1,000 items or even 500 items. You can still take the same type of approach for a small curated show. It does work. So think about your pricing. Now, if you're like, nope, I'm going to focus on each individual item, that's okay. Do you? Yes, my love. I see you over there leaning into that mic.
Lintro. I don't know. This one.
Congratulations to Lintro. 1K. Congratulations, Lintro. So definitely Swamp Chick Boutique. It is a mindset. How many people here? Just throw something in an emoji in the chat if you're still concerned about the profitability on each individual item. If that's how you do your pricing, and you're like, nope, I got to make money on each and every item. Throw something in the chat. We have a nope. Swamp Chick, it depends. I'm going to come back to that because that's a good point. Perfect. I love to see all the no's because on Whatnot is different than the static sites. We cannot be concerned about each individual item. Now, I don't say that in the sense of it's the one area where I'm not consistent. I don't say that in the sense of cutting yourself short. You're still smart in whatever pricing system that you design, but you can't be so concerned about each individual item. You want to lower all your prices, go for it. Do it smartly though. It is the hardest thing. Southern Charm, you're so right. It is the absolute hardest thing to overcome. Look, I came to this app thinking I had to make a profit on every single item and then getting discouraged when I wasn't. And it took quite a few months to slowly warm up to this idea that it's about looking at the big picture, the overall. I don't make money on every single product I sell. I just sold a couple of things for $2. I'm totally okay with that because when I look at the end of the show, at the end of the day or the end of the week, and I look at everything I sold this week, it's going to be a profitable week. So it's all in the mindset that you come with. Now, who said that? Hold on, wait. Swamp Chick, I think you said it depends. Yes. There is some degree where it depends. However, if you're going to do two scenarios, if you're going to do different pricing, have a special show for it. Or either one, have a special show. Have something that is designed for that pricing model, such as a reverse auction. Or a, hey, I'm doing some type of bougie show. Everything's going to start at, $25 to $50. And talk it up. Get your people comfortable with the idea of that show, particularly if it's different than what you're doing. I have reverse auction shows where there are certain items that I can't, I picked up a whole box full of swung vases. I think we paid a little over $300 for them. I'm a little leery about starting them at $1. They're outside my comfort zone for risk. Those are going to go into a reverse auction show probably. A reverse auction is where you start the price high and you slowly count down. So if you've never seen one, we do have them on YouTube. You can check out how one works. But real quick example, if I was going to sell this riser, and let's just say this was some super fancy riser, I would have it listed. Everything's pre-listed, and I would say be listed for like $85. So I would say, all right, you guys, we're going to start at $85. I'm going to count down. When you hear a number you're comfortable with, put an R in the chat, and I will run it at that number. So I would go 80, 75, 67 to a certain set floor. I don't disclose what the floor is, but in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to blow this number. When somebody puts an R, if I say 67, they put an R, I then edit the auction, make the starting price 67, and we start running it at that. Typically in a reverse auction, that's the way, farm auctions do reverse. Typically what happens is it's just one person who will claim an item at a price when you drop it down. Unfortunately, Whatnot, we have to work within their system, so I just start the bidding at that price. Most of the time, there'll be a couple of bids usually. So if I start at 67, it may go up to a little over 70. So that's a reverse auction. What's the beauty of a reverse auction? For those sometimes items that you've paid up for that, look, hey, it's a really great item and I don't feel comfortable starting it low, you protect your margin and the buyers still get a good deal. So it's a win-win for both people. And it's just kind of entertaining. It's a different format. If you think about it, it's how real person, I think so too. I've never been to an in-live one, but I would think that. 1.5 years of varying prices, all low starts, may be enough to get by. 6 months of higher quality and dollar starts. And thank you. The patina penny right there. Higher quality, dollar starts, increased profit and sales significantly. What creates buyer loyalty? You want to know what creates buyer loyalty? Education, entertainment. I have a list right here, y'all. Transparency, advice, extra effort, good prices, and high quality items. You want buyer loyalty? Give all of it. They'll keep coming back and they will reward you. It's that factor of reciprocation that Jeremy was talking about in our show last night. The more you give, the more people want to reciprocate. How do they reciprocate? They reciprocate in their bid pricing and bidding things up. It's a win-win. They get great deals, you get more money. MCM is mid-century modern. So it's a time period of clean classic lines, geometric shapes, a lot of good teak wood type items. Let's see, what am I missing here? I need to go to a live auction. There's a ton in my area. Well, I live in one of the most auction dense areas of the country and I still have not gone to a live one. I just boxed everything from my first show. Need help with shipping, had some mistakes and expected. All right, Presley's, what help do you need? So scared to do dollar starts and $3 starts. Don't think I'm there yet. Okay, and it's cool, Livy. I'm more wanting to impress the point here is consistency. We're talking about creating that buyer loyalty, the consistency in pricing. What happens to me with what happened to you with the oil frame? Joanna, yeah, so I messaged you back. Let me know. I haven't got to see because I started the show if you replied yet, but I'll take a look if you have replied and answer you for sure. So one, consistent pricing. Now, if you're like, look, I just can't get my head around it. I am not there with the one consistent pricing. That's okay if you're not there yet. What I suggest, good morning, Mel and Stella, is pre-list your items then. What does this do? Pre-listing your items, if they're all over the place, helps the buyer when they come in to become comfortable with your prices. It's not so much of a shock of $5, $5, $30. They don't feel that shock because they could absorb the list. They can look through your items and be like, okay, I understand what's going on here. So if you can't quite get to an even pricing model, then try to pre-list, because that will help offset that feeling and bring your buyer into a position of being more comfortable.
Presley Pickings. Give me 1 second. Let me see one of the tags. Show it.
Oh, the tags? Okay.
On the side.
Oh, show it over here.
So hold on, let me frame it right.
New sellers.
This is what we do now. We started doing, she did something different.
So this is from the beginning of the show. These are the first 2 items that sold. You can see Southern Charm Bottom. So we use a system that automatically prints tags for everything that sells, and then we stick them on the item. This helps keep our shipping straight. Jody, this is probably answering your question too. So this helps keep our shipping straight. Normally when it's printing, I'll pull it off and stick it onto the item. Then my daughter, who's our shipper, will take that item, wrap everything in the bubble wrap, do the proper packaging, and then take the label and stick it on the outside. Because of course, once it's bubble wrapped, you can't tell what's inside of it. And then I know what goes in the proper boxes. It's easier for me to organize. Our next step is I print packing lists, and she'll take all of the items and put them in customer piles with the packing list. Then I come through, that's where I step into shipping. I will take a pile, pull up a customer's name. I'll go like Southern Charm. She'll have a little pile there. I'll find Southern Charm in my shipping list, and I'll double check what's on my screen to what's in the pile, and then I pack it all in a box, do unbundling if necessary. That's how we do our shipping.
So the printer was about $35 at the online at the river. And the labels, I just bought 2 packs for less than $7 a pack, the same place. So, and all it is I hook it up to the computer, and there it is.
The Happy Bargain Hunter. So Mel Estate Kate, they do have Notbot, which I've heard is a wonderful program. We don't use Notbot. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't want to pay for it. Like I'm
too
cheap.
expensive.
It's too expensive for what it is. It's too expensive for me. I'm not getting on it. I'm sure it is a wonderful. I've heard beautiful things about it. We were able to design something for ourselves that works for free. It works the same way. So we basically, it's the same type of thing. I just don't have to pay a subscription for it. But ours too doesn't do as much as the one you pay for. This is the whole reason we're not selling ours, because I don't want to get into the business of tech support. So that's why we don't sell it. You're not techie. Yeah, me neither. I'm not techie at all. So, okay, let me go back and answer this question. Do you do flat rate or individual cost per item? For Presley's, let me give you the most easiest basic shipping advice, and then I'm going to tell you where to go to get even more advice. So, a couple of places. First off, the way you should do shipping as a very new person, when you first start your shipping, in my glass there, I just am on your show, new here. I'm hoping my first show on Saturday. Any advice for a first-time seller? Yes, absolutely. Stay here. I'm going to talk to you in just 1 second. I'll address that. So if you're a brand new seller, how should you do shipping? Weigh every item. Weigh that item with the material it takes to pack it. So actually, put it in a box with your bubble wrap or whatever, depending on what you sell. Figure out the weight. Assign that weight to the item in your inventory. Okay? So if it weighs 1.3 pounds, make sure you've picked the category 1 to 2 pounds. So set it up right. It's going to ship right. Then don't do anything fancy. Let Whatnot do its thing. Whatnot has a pretty decent advanced shipping system on the back end. Let Whatnot do its thing and ship it the way Whatnot tells you. Do that for at least 3 or 4 shows, and do buyer pays all at the very beginning, your first couple of shows. Get your mind around it. Figure out, you're like, okay, I got this. You're going to do a couple of shows. You're going to be fine. Then you can start to look at, okay, should I offer reduced? Possibly doing a custom profile, whatever, depending on what you sell. But do it the way it's designed first, and it will work beautifully for you. Trust me, it's really designed very well. Now, if you want more help, I Love Discounts does a shipping show every Monday at 5 p.m. I do not know if they're doing it tonight or not because they are on the road today, but typically every Monday at 5, I Love Discounts, will you tag them, please? Does a shipping show. They can help you. Go to YouTube. There are a ton of videos. Hodgepodge House of Coop has some great YouTube videos out there. Blasian Bunny does a ton of shipping shows. Blasian Bunny has a shipping book that you can purchase and will walk you through how to do shipping, all kinds of ins and outs. It's like a 70-page book. So there are people on here who will help you for free. There's YouTube videos that can help you. And then Whatnot has some really great videos. So if you're still confused about shipping, go to help.whatnot.com and you can look at all their videos. So that's what hopefully that helps. I keep it simple. I don't do fancy on my shipping. I keep it simple so I don't try to get into the
Let me check
depths
now.
of it.
Let me check because I know they're traveling, so I don't know if they're gonna have a show tonight.
And thank you guys for tagging other people who do shipping too. Thank you so much.
Actually, they are. Check this out.
Are they?
There's I Love Discounts,
Start with the help section. Yep.
and there's the shipping show
Today,
for today.
yeah. They're doing it. So they're probably doing it from the road. They're probably one's driving, the other one's sitting there going to be talking about shipping from the road. So hopefully that helped a little bit. I just don't go in because I keep mine very, very simple. And I kind of do everything in my business on the KISS principle, just keeping it simple. Okay, the question in my glass era, talking about new sellers, talking about tips for your first show. So we're not necessarily talking about the first show per se, but we're talking today on how to create buyer loyalty. Why do we need buyer loyalty? Because that's what makes you successful on Whatnot. So we're going through about 5 or 6 things here that if you put into place, almost guarantees you success. Doesn't mean you're going to make $1 million this year. No, I'm not promising anything like that. But am I promising that you're going to see some uptick in your business? 100%. So what we've talked about so far is having your anchor show up, don't reschedule, be there when you say you're going to be there. That's important. People count on you. If they can't count on you, how in the heck can you expect them to be at your show? Be the person that shows up for them, okay? Show format and flow. Don't be switching up your format all the time. Keep it consistent. We just finished up a whole discussion on consistent pricing. The next one is language. Language is huge. I say this, I touch on this point over and over and over again. Good morning, I Love Discounts. We are talking about your shipping show. We saw that you have it scheduled, so we didn't know if you're having it today or not. So your language that you use. When I talk about language, how do you open your show? How do you close your show? What do you say when somebody raids you? What kind of chatter do you have going on throughout your show? What is the language? What are you known for? You're committed. All right, I love that. I love it. I love discounts. So Staken says, I had an amazing raid train, so I was going to cancel my regular show the next day and went through it. There you go. See? Don't cancel your... Life happens. I'm not having a show next Monday because I'm going to be on an airplane. Life happens. Again, my motto is don't make your exceptions your rule. Don't make the exception that you're on an airplane be your excuse every single week while you're not doing a show. Maybe that's not a good time to schedule shows. Find a time that works for you the majority of the time. Absolutely. Jody, 100%. Yep. Start your show on your phone. And then once your show is going, you start it on then you go to your iPad and start it. So then you can run your items from your iPad and read your chat from your iPad. And your phone is just your camera then. That's a lot of people do 2 devices, and it works way better than going to the phone and going like this on the phone and giving everybody a earthquake.
So I don't know how you are planning on running your show for the first day or for the first time. Most people get the jitters. Stage fright is not a myth. A lot of people are not comfortable in front of a camera. And so when you're running your show and it's your first time, you're going to be a little nervous because you don't know what the other side is going to say, think, or do. So definitely, yes. So relax, just be yourself. Nobody's rushing you. You have the control of your show. Just ground yourself and think about this. It's It's you they're coming to watch. So relax, chit chat with people, enjoy the experience. Do not oversell. Do not sell more than you can ship in 2 days safely.
Yep.
So those are the things that I think are very important. Initially, YouTube will push your show.
What
So
not?
you're going to
Not
have
YouTube.
probably a lot of people. And Green 13 speaks about this. Maybe the second, third show are not going to be as advertised, and you're going to see a change. Do not get discouraged.
Pet peeves, things to avoid. We will get there. I'm writing that down. Let me finish this thought on language, and we'll talk about pet peeves, things to avoid. Any of my regular people in here, they're like, "Oh, you just opened a Pandora's box asking Tracy that question." But I'll keep it short.
I can show you one in a minute.
Okay. When I talk about language, do me a favor. You don't have to tag the seller. But if you have a seller that you know their catchphrase or something you can repeat, type that catchphrase in the chat right now. I could think of about 10 off the top of my head. Whoa, woohoo, whoa, woohoo, heck yeah. RTS, drop those brooms. Shells in the chat, let's go, good grab. ABS. Okay. Why do I say this? Because this is consistent language. Turtle, consistent language. They have used words over and over and over, and now you associate them with those words, right? Language, the consistency in your language is important, because anytime somebody hears, I'm going to say a word, I want you to tell me who says this word. Looka here. Who says that?
Oh, that's not a favorite one.
There you go, Aaron. So as soon as you hear something, as soon as you can be out, like, look at, all of a sudden people are like, Aaron says that, Aaron says that. You can hear something in your outside life, and all of a sudden you're thinking about one of your whatnot sellers because you hear it, right? So it's not just those catchphrases. How many people, and you don't have to put it in the chat because it's long, how many people could recite, for the most part, Green 13's raid, when somebody raids him, what he says? He'll say, welcome in, Zoe's Treasures. Thank you for the raid. Zoe's Treasures, you and you alone can put in the chat up to 3 times in the next 5 minutes what you sell and when you sell it. Anybody who likes what they see can go and bookmark and follow. For the most part, right? Okay. Because we hear it over and over again. That's consistent language. That is just as comforting to people, just as recognizable to people as a consistent layout in a store is, as the show flow is. So think about, a lot of people don't put enough, it recites it like a barring speech. I like when I like to say it along with him to see if I can get the words right. So your opening, your show opening, what you say when the raid comes in, your show closing, doesn't have to be word for word the exact same thing every single time. No, but should you have something planned? 100% yes. So what you're saying, they should know. You all know, you come to my show. Welcome to Zoe's Treasures. Good morning. Welcome to Zoe's Treasures. My name's Tracy. I'm here with my husband today. He runs our graphics and does our cameras. Today we're doing blah, blah, blah. Okay. They have this box. They have what they see and what they hear. That is it. So you have to be that communicator, and you have to do it in a way where you're driving it home over and over and over again. So your language, consistency in your language is just as important as consistency in everything else. How many people have seen a show start and they turn the show on and they're like, okay, hold on. I just hit go, just a second. All right, okay, we're going to put our riser here. Oh, hold on. Oh, let me go get my box. To me, that's like, you weren't ready. Or if they start the show and they're like, hey, everybody, welcome to the show. And they go on with their opening spiel of what they do. Okay? All the time. It's so annoying. There you go. Melissa, congratulations. You got that giveaway.
Congratulations.
So put some thought into how you open and close a show. The other one, and I'm working a lot on my closing right now. This is probably where my focus is at the moment. You'll see the stumbling at the end. In person, we have closings, right? When you are in the business world, Duck's in the chat, I forget that all the time, yes. When you're in the business world, and you leave a room, you're like, hey, it was great to meet you. Nice. Okay, see you later. And you leave, right? You shake their hand, you leave. When you're with loved ones, you give them a hug or a kiss, you say, I love you, we'll see you next Tuesday, and you leave. We have closings in normal life when we're ending or we're parting ways in some fashion. When you have your best friend, maybe it's a quick hug. See you later, girl, whatever it may be, right? We still, no, you just leave. You're like, I'm out of here. But we need the closing and whatnot too. And this is where I see a lot of people struggle. And I know I have it because it's like, okay, how do we say goodbye? What do we do? Okay, we're going to raid. Well, maybe no. Okay, you guys, come to my show. And then Tuesday we're doing this. Oh, wait, but then we're doing this. And there's no consistency. And you're like, okay, girl, are you going to raid? Are we leaving? Are we not leaving? What are we doing? All of that matters in the whole big scope of your show. It may just be a little 30-second piece, but all those 30-second pieces added together create the totality of your show. I find myself saying, please stay with me for the raid. Yes, I do, because we all like to drop before the raid. I'm with you there.
I'm going to give you my pet peeve.
Let's talk pet peeves for a second. Let's move on, and then we'll get to the next
My
thing.
pet peeve is this.
Oh my gosh. Yes, don't do this. This is awful. There was somebody, okay, I'm not going to say who the seller was. There was a raid train that was happening, a very large raid train yesterday.
And then before she continues, now show an item.
Oh, okay. Let's see. We're going to show this wonderful cell phone.
Oh no, but you can't see it, so hold it up high.
Okay, look at my cell phone. There was a raid train yesterday. There was a seller, had that much space. Not only that, the fan was going, the light was on, and the person was smacking on gum, and you could see that gum about to fall out of their mouth every time they opened it. I'm like, I don't want to buy from you. You've turned me off in the first 10 seconds. Those are pet peeves. I hate the gum too. I hate the gum on a live. It's not the time for gum. So think about other pet peeves. Do not do this. And everybody in the chat, throw an emoji in if you agree. I just want to prove a point. Okay, everybody, what do you want? Look at all the stuff I have. Tell me what you want. Tell me if you want me to run something. What do you want? No. Pick it up and run it. Over and over and over and over again. So those are pet peeves. You want to know the pet peeves? We can go all day. Like, I'm sure all of us can start putting in there. There are a million pet peeves. So I don't want to focus on the bad. But what I would suggest, if you don't like when somebody else is doing it, don't do it yourself. If you touch it, you run it. There you go. And I Love Discounts yelled at me immediately. Good. I'm glad they yelled at you.
Forgotten memories. Scans can be used strategically.
Yes.
You have to be very purposely minded on how you use them, and it can be beneficial.
So in the toy category, the Star Wars specifically, they do scans in a way where they're like, okay, we're going to scan to show you the inventory we have. So they don't typically pre-list. And it's like, okay, I'm going to show you what we have. We're going to pull a bunch of stuff. And then they go through and they run. Almost like a claim show. I'm still not 100% on board, but they do it for a very short, focused amount of time. And they've developed their audience for that. I'm about 90% okay with that style. I still don't like scan shows. And don't put the camera sideways. Yeah, I mean, you make sure that everything is right. Consider what's around you. What's in your background matters, you guys. There is a seller. I don't know if this person's on the app anymore. I haven't seen the name, so I don't know if it's just not showing up for me, or maybe they blocked me. I don't know. I haven't seen the name in a long time. But there used to be a person who would do chat shows and selling shows, and legit hoarder house behind this person. And it would gross me out so bad. I'm like, I can never buy from you because I don't know what creatures are crawling in that pile that you have going on there. Like, it was a complete hoarder house. Is it one of your topics? So I won't talk about it too much. Everybody go to Swamp Chick to hear about something like that type of topic tomorrow. Maybe they did. I don't know. Don't sell off your bed. See, this is a business, you guys. Would you want to buy off of somebody's bed? Look, that's your personal, that's the little TMI, and I don't need any of that TMI on my product that I want to buy, right? Is there any way to get the computer to show more than 1.5 listings at a time when running and pinning from there? I don't know what you're talking, computer 1.5 listings. Because I don't know what you're saying. If anybody can help Livy, please do. So I'm on a computer right now. Yeah, or elaborate.
A little bit more?
I'm on a computer right now, and I see me in the middle. I see the chat on the right, and on the left, I can flip between auction, buy it now, whatever over here. And I guess on mine I'm showing only 1.5. So maybe that's what you're saying. So if I go to my auction tab, I see possibly 2 listings. That may just be your screen size settings. So another pet peeve, too much personal info and more talking than showing items. I have to agree to some extent here. I think we need to be personable. We need to be more personable. I try to give glimpses into my life. Good morning, Blasian Bunny. I was talking about your shipping book earlier. So if you want to put something in there about it, please do. We had a bunch of shipping questions. So please feel free to throw something in the chat about your book if you want. Totally up to you. Thank you, Mel and Stella. Yeah, we got another CEO card giveaway going. That reminds me of a question someone was going to teach us. That is, for the $1.50 thing, go see...
Coastal.
Thank you. Coastal Peacock Co. We'll tag him in there. He does chat shows and selling shows. Go there and ask. There you go. Forgot memories. Just put him in there too. He'll show you how to do it. So what was I? Well, I was about to say something. I totally went off.
I have another pet peeve, and this is just personal. And take it as a suggestion. Most people run from the phone. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you're gonna run your show from your phone, that's great. But if you turn your back, this is what happens, and this is what it sounds when you're turning your back to the phone. And then later on, you can barely hear what I say because my back is to the phone, and then nobody knows what I'm saying and who am I talking to until I turn back around, and then you start listening to what I'm saying again. So if you're going to be running things on your phone, don't talk while you're turning around. Yep.
Remember, your microphone's here, right? Your microphone's up here. I have a microphone on, so I can turn around over here and you hear me fine. But if your phone's there, you're not going to hear me looking at my stuff back here. Oh, you got a microphone. We highly recommend them. I usually wear it up here in my collar. It's down here. They make things so much easier. They have them for travel. I have a travel one that when I go out of town once a month, I have a little travel one plugs into my phone, because when I'm on the road, I'm running from my phone and we link into the system at home, and then Noel does everything from home, but wherever I'm at, I just have my phone and a microphone. Do you thank you for looking at that? Yeah, I do. You know what? Because they took their time. They didn't leave. Anybody who stayed in for the 10 seconds I was showing an item, particularly if it doesn't sell. If it doesn't sell, you need to say something. And that something shouldn't be, why doesn't anybody want this? I can't believe you didn't bid on this. It shouldn't be that. What it should be is, thanks for looking at that item. Let's move on to our next item. Or, all right, you guys, let's see what's coming up next. It should be a positive. So thank you for looking at that is just a very easy go-to positive to move to your next item. But you can replace that, thank you for looking at that, have a couple different phrases. Here's the other thing. And I say this frequently.
Thank you, Mel.
Thank you. We think that, now you're going to make me blush. We think that we hear you've got to be engaging. So for those of you just doing your first shows, I'm sure you've heard, you've got to be engaging. Engaging means involving your audience. So it's not about you doing cartwheels and standing on your head and singing and dancing. Could that be fun? Yeah, that could be fun. But engaging means asking questions of your audience and then you answering those questions. Ask open-ended questions. Ask them to put emojis in the chat. Hey, you guys, look I'm selling the Starbucks mug. Are you Starbucks or Dunkin'? And if you're like, okay, my mind goes blank, because I'm like this. I can sit here and my mind goes blank. I always have notes. These are like my comfort notepad here. What do they call the emotional notepad, whatever it is. If you're like me and you're like, I just need something to make me feel comfortable, put up a little sign somewhere and have 3 or 4 open-ended questions. Emotional support, thank you. It's my emotional support notepad. And I'm not joking. Like, I have a notepad with me at all times. So put a sign up with 3 or 4 open-ended questions. Are you a Starbucks or a Starbucks or Dunkin' person? Are you this or you that? Hey, you guys, I got this mouse. I don't know anything about Apple products. What do you know? Do you like Apple? Is it better than the other anything else? So think through like that, and that starts getting that conversation going. That's probably one of my biggest tips for newbies. Apple is like, no, don't get me going. Don't get me started. I heard a seller say, Mel Bless, congratulations, you got that giveaway. I heard a seller say, never say thank you for looking, that it is a tell for people who are listening in that no one is buying your merchandise. What do you guys think? That's an interesting thought. I don't think it's wrong though. I haven't really, I need to think about that, Millicent. On the top of my head, I don't think it's bad to say it.
Southern Charm, to answer your question that went unnoticed. I mean, I didn't go unnoticed, but here it is. This is what I recommend. As you can see, it's a Type-C, which plugs into your phone. And with that, you can, those 2 are the microphones, so you can have 2 people. They're wireless, and you can charge the phone with this one too.
Bumming with Nana. And what you said right here, I asked chat questions like that, and it's just crickets in the chat. Here's a reason why, and here's how to overcome it. And it's, all of us have experienced that. All of us have experienced a absolute silent chat. I have it in my real life. I was doing a focus group meeting the other day, and literally nobody said a word. And I'm like, you guys, this is a focus group. It's for you to talk to me. Like, you got to talk. So it happens in real life, and it happens on Whatnot. First of all, you know why it's happening on Whatnot? Maybe they don't know you enough. If you go into a room, I immediately don't start chatting in the chat if I don't know the seller. If I don't know your humor, are you very straight-laced? Are you free-flowing? Are you a person who cusses? Do you do this? I don't know if I put something in there. Are you going to be offended by what I put in there? If I'm too straight-laced, are you going to be like, oh, who's that girl? I don't know you. So anytime you ask a question, you answer it like that is your best friend sitting on the other side of that camera. Until they become comfortable. They have to get comfortable with you. How do they get comfortable with you? Everything we're talking about. Show up when you say you're going to show up. Don't reschedule your shows. Be there over and over and over again. Have a good show format. Consistent. It's the same show format. So have all those consistencies. Use the same language. Show up as the same person all the time. Have consistent pricing. So by doing all of that, it will get better. It may take time, but it will get better. And keep asking the questions, and then keep answering, and talk like your best friend. Whoever you guys like to talk to, if it's an adult child, a friend, a spouse, put their picture up where you can see it if you need to, and talk to it. Just be like, you're not going to believe this. I got this. I found this at the thrift store. Would you believe that? Do you ever find this great of a mug at a thrift store? I couldn't believe it. Just talk. It will come.
Live view. The reason for that is because if you're running with a video switcher, sometimes the audio is delayed, and so there's a little trick that will make sure that the audio is encompassed with the video.
I love this question right here. What metrics do you focus on to build your business? So for each of us, that's going to be a different metric. There's some standards that I'll throw out there that I think are kind of the go-tos. For me right now is average order value. I am highly focused on average order value. What you focus on, what you measure will improve. 100%. Maybe Forgotten Memories or Mel and Stella will back me up. Both of them were in our CEO challenge. I don't know if Lori's still here. And one of the things we did is we focused on a measurement for 5 weeks, and just about every single person's measurement improved. It wasn't because I did anything. It was because they took the time to focus on it and measure it that it improved. So average order value is a good one. Sell-through rate. So if you don't know what a sell-through rate, there you go, right there, forgotten memory. Average order went up over $1.50, and we're talking jewelry, so that's significant in a 5-week period. Oh, okay. I was going to this morning. You should, Marisol, you should. I left it up there. I didn't take it down. By doing what? So by focus in on whatever metric you pick, average order value. So if you want to increase your average order value, everybody should know how to look at that to raise. Did I raise my prices? My average order value has tripled. I've been focused on mine for about 5 months now, and my average order value has tripled. And not only has it tripled, I've reduced the number of items that I'm selling. My repeat buyer percentage, there you go. So repeat buyer. I'll talk about the random polls in a second. Only being random polls, we'll talk about that too. Hold on. I want to talk about some more metrics really quick. I was making sure I'm not missing anything. So average order value is 1. Sell-through rate. So your sell-through rate is if you show 100 items and you sell 70 of them, you have a 70% sell-through rate. So the number of items that actually sell from what you've shown should be close to 100. If you're bringing new items every week, you should be getting close to 100 if your prices are right. These are metrics that once you understand the metric, will allow you then to fix what's wrong. So if your sell-through rate is too low, I'm going to start asking questions like, is my prices too high? Why aren't my items converting? Why are they not selling? My price is too high? Is my lighting off? Are they not being shown properly? Am I not providing enough information? So those are the things I would look at to fix a sell-through rate. Average order value. So just watching on one metric and working on it. I would pick one to focus on and then go to the next one. Now, overall in business, you can't just look at one thing. You've got to look at multiple things. But that's your monthly and your quarterly review. But what you start to do is you narrow in. What's wrong with your business? Hold on. He's trying to tell me to look at something. What am I trying to find? I'm sorry. Forgotten memories. Great time. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Forgotten Memories. All right, let's do this really quick. Thank you, Forgotten Memories. You are totally correct. So for those of you asking about metrics, we do a CEO challenge. Let me play the video and then I'll talk about it and we'll go back to talking a few more metrics.
Six sellers, growing, learning, building. Through weekly challenges, building the business, not just the show. Welcome to the CEO Challenge.
Yep. Noel put all the thumbnails up there, or emojis. So you guys, that is the CEO Challenge. If you haven't heard of this, new to Zoe's Treasures. So we do, we've done season 1. So the 6 sellers that were shown are season 1 sellers. And this is a combination of a challenge. You hear about what not challenges, raid train, reality kind of event here. 6 sellers are chosen. They spend a month. And every single week they have a different challenge to build their business. Looking at metrics, working on an opening, working on systems within your business. So each week is a different challenge. And then on Monday, it was Tuesdays, we switched it to Monday nights. They all come together. We spend about 2.5 hours, and we do a raid train into each seller. I kick it off, and then we go through each of the 6 sellers. We come back to me. During their time, they're either telling you about what's going on in their business. This is the reality part of it. What are they working on? How hard was the challenge? What success, what failure they had? They are opening their lives and their business to you to be on this journey of improvement with them. We do this for 4 weeks, and then we have a big kind of wrap-up show at the end where we talk about, okay, you measured a metric all month. Did it improve? What happened? We also have an at-home version that you can follow along and do your own business at the same time. That was season 1. We are doing season 2 in July, so DM me. I just finished the application. I'm getting them out this week. DM me with your email address, and I will send you an application if you are interested in participating in July. And I'll get you the application for that. It is Mel and Stella was in it. I love discounts. Mel and Stella, Forgotten Memories. Let's see if I can name everybody off the top of my head. On second thought, Mel and Stella cards, Forgotten Memories,
Hibiscus House.
Hibiscus House, Lori Can Shop. Who am I missing?
Mrs. Jen Hen.
Miss Jen Hen were our first 6. Who can play without being on? We can play. Oh yeah, you can follow along. So we have like an at-home version where we have a Dropbox and we put the weekly challenge in there. You don't get as much information as the participants. They get, like guides and Excel sheets. But yes, you can. How do I help promote the CEO challenge? I would love. Thank you so much, Blazer Bunny. Just talking about it, sending them over to us. But next week I'll have it on my website. I'm working on that. But yeah, if you could talk about it, I would love it. I would greatly appreciate that. Bumming with Nana, open to anybody.
Welcome in, Raiders. Grab your hats and step into Zoe's Treasures, where the relics aren't cursed. They are for sale.
The Good Grabs, thank you so much for bringing your people on over here. Y'all, my name's Tracy. This is Zoe's Treasures. We're doing a chat and sell. We're doing a little more chatting right now. But The Good Grabs, please feel free. Put all of your stuff in the chat. Put who you are, what you do, all the details, so anybody who likes it can give you a follow. Thank you for coming on over. The CEO Challenge. So we were just talking about the CEO Challenge. It's going to run in July. It is open to anybody, any category, any size. You could be here for a week. You could be here for 3 years. So it's application based. I'll pick 6 people. Right now I have a list of about 14 people who are interested. I have to limit it to 6 so that when we do the raid trains, it's focused. If it was too many people would lose interest and not really focus in. Only 14 so far, yeah, but I still think that's pretty good. I think it's growing. I think by the end of the month, by the time I need to pick who they are, there's going to be more. You're offended. Not sure. Sassy Goat, let me go back and look. I probably missed it. A lot just happened all at the same time.
Just talking about handmade.
The Sassy Goat, is the challenge realistic? Can't think of the right word for handmade. Absolutely. Absolutely realistic for handmade. It will work for anybody because what we are talking about, it's not about selling. It's not about making a certain amount of money. It's not about selling a certain number of products. It's about how you set up your business, how you run your business. Is your show important? 100% your show is important. We've just spent almost 2 hours talking about show stuff. But your business is the foundation. That if you have a crumbling business, I don't care how good your show is, you're not going to be successful. So thank you so much, Forgotten Memories. So it is for how you run your business. We're looking at metrics. We're looking at systems. We're looking at things you do, like some of the stuff we're talking about here about creating buyer loyalty. How do you run your show format? How do you do your openings? And the challenges we had for season 1 are going to change for season 2. They're going to be 4 all new challenges. The only thing that will stay the same because it's so important is picking a metric. That's the one going to be consistent challenge throughout all of the series, or all the seasons. But absolutely. So if anybody's interested in being in the CEO Challenge, again, DM me your email address. They're going out this week. I just finished them up, the applications, and we'll be announcing it close to the end of the month. So you have about 2.5 weeks, almost 3 weeks. So, and it's going to run the whole month of July. New seller, women's clothing. Oh, the Good Grabs, new seller, women's clothing, Monday and Saturday, jewelry, this and that vintage. Oh, you got a few things going on, and rotates on Friday. So there you guys go. If you like what the Good Grabs is offering and what do they do, you know who to follow. Thank you, Livy. All right, so what were we talking about? We were talking about buyer loyalty. Let me run another giveaway. We were following up from last night's podcast where we talked about the psychology of buyer loyalty. So the next thing is your rules and your policies. Oh, random polls. Thank you. Forgotten Memories. Yes, somebody asked me that question. What do I think about shows that are all random polls? I think they're totally okay if that's your format, if that's your flow. Keep in mind, there's not going to be one right way for everybody. There's going to be an audience that loves pre-listed and hates random. There's going to be an audience that loves random and hates pre-listed. Random polls are absolutely fine. You can still design a show flow So proud about it. Oh, no, I'm getting there, but you will. You can design a show flow even with random polls. Even if they're random. Green 13, okay? Green 13 he doesn't call them random polls. To everybody else, they look like they're random polls. What's a term he uses? I can't think of it. He said it last night on the show. But basically, he'll grab a box of stuff and put it on the table, and live sorting. Thank you. Estate addicts. That's it. So he'll put a box of stuff on the table, and there could be like 50 rings sitting there. You, as the audience, don't know which ring is next, so it looks like he's just randomly pulling stuff. But he's already thought about in his head, I'm doing rings. I'm live sorting. I'm going to pick these rings, and he's watching. He's monitoring. He's like, is people getting bored with rings? Are my bids going down? And he'll say, okay, let's move the rings aside and let's do brooches or let's do this. So while it looks very random, it is very, very strategic. So even if you're doing random polls, you can do it in a very strategic way. There's nothing wrong with them. I personally don't have the attention span to sit through random poll shows. I want to look at a list. But there's a buyer for every style that's out there. Yesterday, I was on a show, and the giveaways were $100. Amazon and buyers through Amazon. I was like, well, so Joanna, there's two comments. We're going to talk about giveaways here. Just was on a site, no private, no shop items, no way to know what they have. Just was on a site. Oh, for the random poll. So yeah, if they're doing random polls and you go to that and you see nothing there, I wouldn't even buy from them. I need a little confidence to buy. I like going in a shop when I sell or when I'm shopping too. Think about this, you guys. The bin items, I know a lot of people are like, don't waste your time with bin items. They help people fill the box. Particularly if you're a cross listing on other apps, if you're already taking the pictures, just put them in your bin too. Why not? Random polls is like going into a restaurant and not having a menu to order food. It is, isn't it?
Blation Bunny. And that's when I look at the waitress or waiter, and I asked them, what do you recommend?
Bumming with Nana, it absolutely happens. Absolutely. So what I would say, if it was your very first show of 0 sales, it could be a fluke. It could have been at a time of day. It could have just been, people were busy. Don't put a lot of weight on it. One show, just let it go, brush it off. If it happens again and again, now we start digging into what's wrong. What are your prices too high? What's wrong with the experience? So go back and watch your shows. But if it's just one, blow it off and go back at it again. It could just be a one-off thing. We all have shows that are like, yeah. The giveaway is our CEO affirmation packs. I forget to show them. I did put a description. So we have CEO affirmation cards. They are designed to go along with my Friday's Talk series. Let me show you. So I have designed this pack of cards. And there's 52 cards in there. Each week, there's one for each week, and they each have a CEO affirmation on them. So we give away a card for our giveaways. I like doing both too, Blasian Buddy. My last two shows, I haven't done as much randoms. I do 99% pre-list, but I tried to put a couple of random items in just to appeal to the people that like that. Excuse me. All right. Okay, I think I'm good. I tried to just to appeal to the people who like that surprise element. Shelf scan photos as listing photos. Are random polls that have shelf scan photos? No, I wouldn't do that. I don't like those, but Dave K. Shaley, congratulations. You got that giveaway. Yes, he does. When I cough, he tries to mute the mic. I have a look. When I give him a certain look, he's like hitting that mute button really quick. So random polls can also be seen as a thrifting experience. They can. There are a lot of people, unpopular opinion here. unpopular opinion, and I pissed a bunch of people off when I said this weeks ago on the podcast, but the live shopping, I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of live shopping. However, that's like a form of a reality TV type thing, and there's an audience for that, just like there's an audience for pre-list and an audience for random polls. I'm just not a fan of that. And I could explain why. I could go on. I'm going to piss people off every time I say it. You don't like it either, Jonah? My thing is, it's not reselling. Are you selling something? Yes. But to me, a reseller, there's a lot of us that take our time to go and curate. Yeah, I buy it. I'm assuming risk in this. I'm using knowledge and expertise to actually put my money where my mouth is and put my money and my time into something to bring to you. I have risk involved in this, and I mitigate that risk based on my experience and my knowledge of the market and my customer to bring you things. That's reselling. Live shopping, there's zero risk, which from a business perspective, less risk can be good. So I'm not knocking them for that, but there's no expertise there. It's basically, I'm going to go to the store and you're just going to tell me what you want. There's not there's no art to that. Now there may be an art in the selling, but there's no art in the curating. So it's two very different models. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong. It is not illegal, totally okay to do, to sell something before you purchase it. I just have an ethical issue with it for myself. But legally, it's totally okay. I've actually looked into it because it bothered me so much. Do you feel like that about live selling at estate sales too? I do. At any live selling, I don't like. I'm a firm believer in using your expertise to curate shows. Even if you're doing random polls, that's curating. You had to buy something. You had to make the decision based on the market, your audience, your customers, what sold in the past, what your budget is to buy things, and then put them together in such a way that they're going to sell. That's not happening with live selling. They're two very, very different models. My biggest risk is state buy. I chose items, brought home staged, best show. Yeah. I think the higher the risk, the higher the reward. There's some truth in that. That's not a all or nothing statement, but there's some truth in that statement. So that's who. Love that. I'm not sure who that is. But if that's an actor or something, I'm not up on current events. When we pre-list, we learn about the item and can tell and teach the audience about the history of the item. Exactly. We have such an advantage with live selling. We have such an advantage that we can be storytellers. That doesn't mean that you have to create this whole and tell the history of every item, but we have the storytelling over the static listing sites, right? That's what sells your item. That's what creates a value. That's what makes somebody have a memory of grandma or their aunt or something when they were a kid. That increases the value they're going to see in your item. You don't get that anywhere else. It's part of the beauty of what we can do here on Whatnot. Absolutely. And Mel and Stella, okay, here's two completely different examples. So you have Mel and Stella Cards. She sells the playing cards. Then you have Daisy Lane, who sells vintage and antiques. Both of them are storytellers. Two completely different products, right? Mel and Stella, I can tell you what, in the 5 weeks on the CEO Challenge, she probably converted half the people that came to those shows into collecting playing cards, because she would get so excited and her passion would come through so much for these cards. And she would tell you, I learned about, what are they called? Companion cards. Never knew about companion cards. And I actually found some companion cards the other day and I bought them because I learned from her. Where then you take Daisy Lane. So she's a storyteller about her products, but she's not going on for 20 or 30 minutes. It's just while she's showing it and you're learning. That's part of that reciprocity. The more reciprocity. I can't say it. Reciprocal effect. So her departing, her knowledge, her education, her wisdom makes me want to give something back to her, and it worked because a lot of people started buying the cards and becoming collectors. Now you can take the exact same example on Daisy Lane, sells vintage and antique decor. She actually tells you the history of an item. She'll be like, well, this came from France and such and such. Do you know that this is how they made this? And you're like, wow. And all of a sudden she's telling the story and you're like, you may have a $10 price point in your head and you're like, oh, wow, it has that much history. And in your mind, that price is going like this as you're listening to the story. And you're like, wow, I didn't know it meant that much. Wait, you said it's from what region in France? That's where my ancestors are from. And now all of a sudden that price, that value in your head is going like this. Okay, that's the value of the storytelling that you don't have on any other site. You're over the influx of card shows? I don't know. I think they're kind of cool. I haven't started collecting them just because I have enough collections, but I enjoy the card shows. So I think we've kind of exhausted everything we're talking about. I do want to talk about that reciprocation factor really quick, just because we mentioned it. Green 13 is a great one. He explains this in a lot more psychological impact way than what I can. But basically, you will see this happen. If you go into a seller's show, so think of you as a seller, this is the type of stuff that you want to start providing, okay? When you're giving education, this is why this is some of the reason why people do chat shows. It helps make that connection. You're giving education, entertainment, the engaging factor, the transparency. I'm being honest with you. I'm telling you the truth. I'm showing the call outs. I'm opening up my life a little bit to you. Do you need to know all my personal details? No. But you know I have a kid, you know I work 9 to 5, so you know you feel like you're kind of part of my story, right? Giving advice, going the extra mile, doing something extra, giving something for free, throwing something in a box. Like Jeremy sold a bag, an empty bag. Somebody paid $1,000 and you know what he did? Here's a Rolex for you. Nobody knew they were bidding on a Rolex. They thought they were bidding on an empty bag. But do you know what dropping an expensive watch in that bag did for him? Now that person wants to come back and buy more. It's that reciprocal effect. So having good prices. So all of these things that you are doing tied into all the stuff we were just talking about, the trust, the consistency, the showing up, the having the same language, them knowing what they're going to come to when they're in your show, creates this reciprocal effect, which means they want to do something for you. What do people do for you on here? 2 things. Talk about you. Either there are other sellers talking about you in their shows, or they're buyers talking about you, or they're buying from you. So the more you're giving, the more you're going to receive back at the end of the day. That just kind of breaks it down. That's that reciprocal factor.
Sassy and one BS Sprint. Yes, it is true. And who wouldn't want to be a seller that has the convenient shipping? Now, the question is, what is the environment that you create to make that a successful show? Because that's my question. Even though there's going to be a ton, what makes you unique? What makes you that is going to come on top of the other ones? What differentiates you from the rest? So yes, there can be a bunch of different sellers doing the same thing and probably having a similar product. But one of the things that Green 13 mentions is, what is the environment that you create? And I think that's very important.
And it's no different than vintage. Go into vintage decor, go into jewelry. You're going to see hundreds of sellers there. You have to stand out somehow. So it's the experience you're creating. I want to touch on one more point that kind of ties all of this up. One of the other big questions we hear, jewelry is, there's a ton of people on jewelry. It blew my mind how many people are on jewelry. One of the other big questions we hear as sellers on this app is, our comments that we hear is, well, this person over here can sell a hen on a nest for $200 and I had the same hen and I only sold it for $50. How's that fair? How's that possible? It's the same hen. Are these buyers stupid? What, don't they know? And so we hear all these negative connotations. There's an exact reason why that's happening. One, don't blame them. You know what? The people selling it for $300 should get props. It's like a burger restaurant, McDonald's, Burger Jack in the Box. They all sell burger. And yes, they all have their own spin on it. Exactly. Like I go to get fries at McDonald's, but then I'm going to live the burger my way at Burger King, you know? So when we start seeing that comparison and we start getting on these sellers, like, don't these buyers know they're overpaying? You know what? They're not. Because what happens is we have that consistency we talked about. We build that buyer loyalty. That turns into the reciprocal effect where now the buyers want to do something for you. The next stage in that is where the buyers start to attach identity to you. That doesn't mean they're going to become like you, but their identity starts to be attached to you in the sense of like a pro sports fan. So how many people here have a favorite football team? And I can almost guarantee if you have a favorite football team, you are diehard. You're a Bulldog. You're a Georgia Bulldog fan, diehard. I'm going to wear that shirt. God forbid I wear any other color besides, I think it's red and white. I don't know my football, right? Okay. This is the same thing that happened. Yeah, with the cards too. This is why the cards are popular. Red and black. Okay, I was close. I knew it was red. So this is the same thing with sellers on Whatnot. It becomes, they've started to build that loyalty because they have all of these consistency factors that we talked about. Then people want to reciprocate. When they want to reciprocate, now the prices are starting to go up. Now we bring in the next level of the identity. Now it becomes, oh yeah, I bought this from X. I'm one of X's customers. Okay. Then they start talking about that person. The minute that when I opened the show, I said, who's somebody successful in your mind? It's probably because you've been in their shows or you have some type of identity with that person. So it's part of it is because the buyers, the audience ends up being part of your story. When they become part of your story through all of these things we're talking about, that's loyalty. That's when you get them. And that's why House of Coop can sell a hen on a nest for $300 and somebody else can only sell the same one for $50 because they have put in the time, the effort, the consistency in all of these areas over and over and over again. They've built up that reciprocal factor and people are now identifying with them. It's not because the buyers are stupid. It's not because they're overcharging. It's because of the hard work they put into that for such a long period of time. Now, I'm going to step back and say, as a seller, is it frustrating sometimes? Hell yes, it is. Is it frustrating when I'm like, I got that, why can't I sell it for that? It is, but you know what? You know how to solve that? Do the work. Put the work in, put the time in, and you'll get to the same spot. So I got a little bit on a rant there, but it's one of those things that I know we feel it. I know it's rampant on this app, but you want the answers. You want to know how they do it. We're laying out how they do it. And now the process, like all of these are underlying basic principles. You take the principles and apply it to your business, and that's going to look different for Blasian Bunny, for Forgotten Memories, for Zoe's Treasures, I Love Discounts. We can all apply these same principles, and it's going to show up and look differently, but the same success, the same growth is going to happen if you're consistent in it. The problem is people aren't consistent. The problem, I'm going to go back to my very opening statement, is that they say schedule 10 shows and you can cancel them whenever you want, and that's what they do, and then they are asking why people never show up and why they can't sell their hen for $300. So that's my rant. Okay, I just went off. I should have been a little nicer about that. So, I didn't mean, I'm not trying to get on people, but it's very frustrating because I see a lot of people canceling shows and changing stuff and not applying these principles that people are flat out telling you how to do it right. And it's like, well, I don't want to listen to you, but I want to complain that it's not working for me. It can work. And it doesn't matter if there's 300 other jewelry sellers in the room. You can still be successful in your jewelry sales.
Joanna, everybody started with 5 or less. Everybody.
And it only takes 2 to outbid. Joanna, honestly, it's time. You know why they have 300 people in the room or 55 people? It's because they show up the same day, the same time, week after week after week after week, and people know they can count on them. That's buyer loyalty. They grew and created that buyer loyalty. When I first started my tax shows, when I first started my talk shows here, I was lucky to get 5 people. Lucky. I went for months with only 5 people listening to me talk about taxes.
I glue sheet hit the nail on the head. I'm a customer. I'll gladly pay more to someone who makes me feel part of something. Mm-hmm. Or if they are entertaining.
Yep.
So absolutely.
They need to belong.
They're being part of something. And that's when the switch goes on.
It's CY. Livia, it's CY. But that's okay. Either way, the spelling of my name, Actually, it's CY was on my birth certificate, but then when I went to kindergarten, my mom worked with somebody and who spelled it with an E. So for almost all of my school, I spelled it with an E because my mom thought that was cooler than the way she spelled it on my birth certificate. And then I changed it back to the CY right before I graduated because I wanted it to be right on my diploma. So I've done both throughout my life. I'm cool with either one, but legally it's CY. Okay, somebody asked a question here. Hold on. And I wanted to answer it. I saw...
Well, I think
How long should you run a show?
Addict shares, it depends on how you feel. It also depends on your inventory. It also depends on how much you're planning on selling and how much can you actually pack and ship safely. So, correct. Yes, you did it, Mel. Yeah. So how long? I mean, there's people that go for 18, 24 hours, or they have 24-hour nonstop streams and they just rotate people that they're hosts and they're showing the items. The beauty of Whatnot is that you can build to your liking. The sky is the limit. You put the limits, and it's whatever you want it to be. Now, you want to make it a little bit more, not necessarily successful, but impactful. Maybe you need to go between 1.5 to 2 hours.
It's my husband. He should have himself in the bubble, but he refuses to put the bubble on himself. It's my husband sitting right over here. That's the voice you hear.
It's the wizard.
T-Bubble Fizz, congratulations. All right, there's 2 comments I want to answer, and then I got to wait because I got to get to work today. We've got things to do. But the show length, I know you just talked about it. Depends on what you're selling. Run something that's comfortable for you. That was a sign. I know it was a sign. I run an 1.5-hour show. I don't buy into the theory that you have to run 4-hour shows. So run what works for you. Figure out how many items you can ship. How many items can you source? If you run a 5-hour show and you sell 500 items, guess what? You have to ship 500 items, and then you've got to go and buy 500 more for your next show. Do you have time for all of that? Yes, absolutely, Addict. You always show. You do your show like there is 100 people watching you at all times. Never just sit here and wait for somebody. The minute you go on, you imagine 100 people sitting in your room and you're talking to them and you're showing items and you're running that show. It should be no different if you have 0 or 1,000. Your show should be the same. So the other thing I wanted to, I for Beauty says, I wanted to comment on this because I disagree. He says that he'll pay $5 for gas, but he's not going to pay $10 because he likes the gas store owner. I totally disagree. It goes back to creating identities with things. I will not shop at Aldi. I can go and save half on my groceries by shopping at Aldi. Don't get on me, y'all. I just don't like Aldi. But, and I know there's Aldi fans. That's the identity factor we were just talking about. I don't shop at Aldi. I want a higher experience when I go grocery shopping. I do not expect to pay for my cart. I talk about barrier to buying. If I got to pay for my cart, hell no, that's a barrier to me. A barrier that I am not willing to overcome to shop in your store. If I have to bag my own groceries, no, that's barriers to me, okay? So I will pay more for my groceries to have the experience that I want, all right? Now, people who love Aldi, that's fine. They have created that identity. It goes back to the identity factor of shopping at Aldi. So yes, people will pay more, maybe not at a gas station, but in life general, you're dying at Aldi. So the people will pay more, and that's why some sellers are getting more. It's because of the buyer loyalty, the reciprocation, and the identity factor. It does happen. It is a very truthful thing. So maybe not at a gas station. There's varying degrees of this, but how much of an experience do you get at a gas station?
Mel, remember, she doesn't cook.
I don't cook, and I don't do self-checkouts either. If I'm going to do a self-checkout, I better be getting a discount on my groceries. If I'm doing your job, then you're going to pay me something to do your job. That's how I feel about it. I'm very old school in that.
Awesome, the serial host.
Hold on, I got to see what was said here. You're driving into Aldi this week. It is so bad. It is so bad. I work my 9 to 5. We have a whole team of us, and there's a diehard Aldi fan. We will, like, he'll wear Aldi shirts when we get together in person. He has a present for me. I can guarantee you when I see him next week, the present's going to be an Aldi shirt. I may have to wear it on a show just for him. I don't know. Maybe I'll wear it, but like mess it up somehow. I don't know. You rep Aldi merch. Like, I have nothing against Aldi. I choose not to shop there. I feel the barriers are too much for me. So with that, well, now that you know my true feelings about Aldi, you're a Trader Joe's. See, two very different experiences. We're gonna go raid. Y'all have a great week. We're gonna be back Wednesday morning. And special surprise, I Love Discounts is gonna be doing their show tomorrow from our studio. So tune into I Love Discounts. We have some special graphics for them. So they're trying something new. They're gonna be here. So y'all, we'll talk to you later. All right, Noel picked the Raider, so we're gonna give him control.
We're going to go to someone that I think it's also brilliant.
And
So,
Ducks in the chat, when we get there, give them a warm welcome.
have a wonderful day, guys, and beginning of the week.
Ah, yeah, Liz.